Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I meant to make this review like a while ago because I watched Oppenheimer on Friday night, and I was originally going to make a review coming home from that, but then I remembered that I didn't see it at my at the usual movie theater that I usually go to, and well, I kind of needed my GPS to actually give me directions on how to leave at the theater and get home. And if I remember correctly, it was when I reviewed Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania where the GPS kept on interrupting my review. So I was originally going to make that review this morning, but I was busy doing other stuff, namely editing a few projects, which hopefully they'll be done with that by next week. If not, then oh well. Anyway, I've been busy doing some stuff, and it wasn't really until after I finished work tonight that I decided to just get in my car and just start talking about this movie. So, without any more rambling, I'm gonna get on to actually talking about the movie itself. So, the movie was great. I already had in my mind that I was gonna go and see this movie the minute that I heard that Christopher Nolan was directing, and which is funny because I haven't seen a lot of Nolan's films. I have seen the Dark Knight movies and I have seen Inception, and I think those were all of the films by him that I've seen. But I mean, come on, it's Christopher Nolan. I still need to see The Prestige and Memento. The Prestige, I'd rather see way more than the other ones. I don't really have an interest in seeing Tenet or Interstellar, to be honest. But Oppenheimer, again, I kind of already made up my mind that I wanted to see this movie right from the start. Which he does a great job directing the film. The cinematography, the shots are just amazing. Obviously the main talking point is gonna be the bomb, and the fact that Christopher Nolan used practical effects for it, which I respect that he didn't want to use CGI for it, because weird. Sorry, I was stopping at green light. But yeah, I respect that he didn't want to use CGI for it, and his reasoning was because CGI won't really convey the danger of using weapons of mass destruction like that, which I get that. And also practical effects for the win every day. The way that he achieved the bomb by basically I think the way that it was described was that he actually did create a bomb, but it obviously wasn't atomic, and it wasn't even nuclear. And what they did was they created a small explosion, and then just had the camera zoomed in incredibly tight to make it look like an atomic blast, right? And that's awesome. I've been trying to think of ways to do I guess you could say safe explosions in some of my projects, or at least make it look like there's an explosion. And I think I just figured out how to do it. So thanks to Christopher Nolan for that idea, if I ever go along with it. But The cinematography was great. The practical effects were awesome. The sound design was fantastic, especially like those scenes where they're talking about like physics and like splitting the atom. And it has all these different scenes of what looks like energy waves like bouncing off each other, as well as like just sparks flying against each other. Like those looked visually stunning. The acting was top notch. Cillian Murphy did fantastic as Oppenheimer himself. But also like Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Robert Downey Jr., all those guys do great. Like there's even a few people that you'd recognize from other movies or TV shows, like Jack Quaid from The Boys. He's in there. And I'm gonna have to double check this, but I think the guy who played the warden in The Shawshank Redemption is also in this, or at least someone who looks a lot like him, which is crazy. Oh, and Jason Clarke, who played John Connor in Terminator Genesis. He's in there too. Yeah, the acting is fantastic. I was actually a little bit surprised that Nolan only used Cillian Murphy. Like, I think there's kind of a short list of actors that that Christopher Nolan has, and like Cillian Murphy is one of them because like he's appeared in well over half of Nolan's projects now. He's been in all of the Dark Knight movies of the Scarecrow. He's been in Inception. I can't remember the 6th film that he was in with Nolan, but either way, he does great as Oppenheimer here. Emily Blunt does fantastic as his second wife, I think. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but she does great as his wife in this movie. Robert Downey Jr. as the Admiral is great. There were actually times where I actually didn't recognize Robert Downey Jr. because of the voice that he uses for most of the film. It's not until like there's a few scenes, especially during this one scene where Robert Downey Jr. is having this entire rant about Oppenheimer, where like that like Robert Downey Jr. cadence that you've heard like with Tony Stark from the MCU kind of slips in, and that's when I remembered like, oh yeah, this is who's playing that guy. The story is fantastic. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who know a little bit about how J. Robert Oppenheimer like created the bomb with the Manhattan Project, and they tested it out with Trinity. But like this was a great biopic that detailed like not only him creating the atomic bomb, but also like what he did before, like how he started teaching, how he brought like the whole physics and everything to America after learning about it from England, marrying his wife, and some of the shady stuff that he did. Because I mean, let's be honest, the movie does show that he wasn't entirely a nice guy. Like he cheated on his wife at least once with the person that Florence Pugh plays. And then like what happens after the bomb, right? How he's being accused of being a communist, and like how his intentions were not purely for the Americans in winning World War II while he was on the Manhattan Project, right? So that was the story was great in basically showing like everything about Oppenheimer, like not just him creating that bomb. I will admit, do think the movie was slightly long, although that was kind of my fault because yesterday, like, to clarify, when I saw that movie last night, so what actually happened was I saw the movie immediately after work, and I kind of tend to have like a very early shift, so which ends like pretty much right when the afternoon starts, and I saw that movie immediately after I finished work. So I was kind of tired a bit. There were a few times where I was fighting to stay awake, and I actually had to like ask the staff at the theater if like they could get me anything with caffeine. So I ended up ordering a giant glass of Mountain Dew that I didn't even get halfway finished with. Whatever. But and then there was another time where I had to use the bathroom, because the movie was 3 hours long, which I was able to hold it up until the bomb actually went off, and that's when I finally couldn't hold it anymore, and I finally had to go and use the bathroom. Luckily, that was the only time I had to do it, and eventually I think I'll have to rewatch the film. But really, all in all, like, the movie was great. I mean, I get that Nolan probably wanted to tell the entire story of Oppenheimer, and that's why it was 3 hours long, which is fine. I mean, I sat through all three Godfather films, not at the same time, but I've done it. So it's just probably the fact that I watched this like immediately after work when it was already a long work day, and the only other time that I've done this was with the Batman last year. But I don't know, I guess that just goes to show that like a lot of movies these days like are just want to be longer. I mean, I'm planning on seeing Mission Impossible tomorrow, and that one's nearly 3 hours as well. John Wick 4 was almost 3 hours. The Batman was almost 3 hours. Endgame was almost 3 hours. I think Spider-Man No Way Home was almost 3 hours. I don't know, there's just a lot of movies these days that try to push it to 3 hours now. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this should go without saying though, but like I'm not planning on seeing Barbie. Originally I was going to talk about how I'm pretty sure that Oppenheimer's going to beat out Barbie, but now I'm not too sure. And the reason why is I was actually talking with a few people at work today, and I honestly think that Barbie is going to outperform Oppenheimer, at least in this first weekend. And the reason why is because of the name, right? If you guys remember the movie The Founder that stars Michael Keaton, about Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, he explains in the movie that like it's really all about the branding, right? Because if Ray Kroc decided to steal the McDonald's brothers' ideas and tried to make his own business, he'd fail probably within a year. Because like if he named his franchise like Kroc's Burgers, that no one would want to go there. So instead of creating his own business, he stole the McDonald's name, and like that's genius. And while it's not the exact same thing here, it's similar because like Barbie is a recognizable name. It's one of the most recognizable toy brands on the entire planet. Of course, people are going to see that movie over Oppenheimer because, let's be honest, not a lot of people pay attention to history anymore. Not a lot of people know who Oppenheimer is, much less the fact that he's the one who helped create the atomic bomb. And well, they also have there's also the added thing against them with the fact that between the two, I think more people would rather see like a 2-hour movie about Barbie than see like a 3-hour film about some guy from World War II that not a lot of people know about in the first place. Even though, truth be told, I think that like if those two went toe to toe during the Oscars, I think Oppenheimer would win. And yes, I know there's some bias there because I've actually watched Oppenheimer, not Barbie, but based on the trailers I've seen from Barbie, I don't think that's like Oscar worthy. Maybe it'll get like an Oscar for like costumes and possibly Best Actress and Best Actor because of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, but that's it. As for Oppenheimer, I think that'll be like that one will get like Best Cinematography, Best Director, Best Picture, if those are even nominated. But I don't know. That was my tangent on the whole Barbie versus Oppenheimer thing, because everybody was talking about like Barbenheimer, that kind of thing. I had even my job talked about it for a few days. But anyway, rant over, and those are really all my thoughts about the movie Oppenheimer in general. I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts, but that's it for this review. Like I said, tomorrow I plan on seeing Mission Impossible, and I think after tomorrow's over, I'd have technically seen 5 movies in as many days. And what I mean by that is, so Wednesday I watched Terrifier. Thursday I saw Sound of Freedom. Yesterday I saw Oppenheimer. But this morning I actually watched Blue Man State: The Rise of Thad Land. I'm not planning on doing a review of that because that thing came out like 7 years ago. But if I do, well, it's on the back burner. So as of now, the only other movie that I'm planning on reviewing is Mission Impossible. And then I should be having a cool down of films to watch. But anyway, that's for this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow if everything goes according to plan. Bye.